So my blessing of becoming educated by accident and becoming a lawyer by accident, I guess going to teach at Harvard the past 3 years by accident has been a journey. But in addition, I picked up on my way English, which is my 5th language, in which I didn't learn in the classroom. But I spent the past 20 years as a lawyer, practicing law in northern Nigeria. And as a lawyer, I have defended over 100 cases since the introduction of Islamic Shariah in the northern part of Nigeria, and I've defended all the cases pro bono. Some of the cases that made headline that attracted international media and human rights organizations, including our professional body, Lawyers Without Borders, I'll mention 2. The cases of Amina Lawal and Safia Husseini. Both were sentenced to die by stoning for the simple reason that they had children out of wedlock, and they allegedly confessed to zina, which is like adultery. And so I came in as a team to defend them. Now, as we move about defending those cases, it dawns on me that it's a struggle between my profession on one hand and reconciling opposing forces of religion, culture, and tradition. And I'll make reference to it shortly. But this is where my story began. So my story is that I'm a woman. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a lawyer. I'm a human rights advocate, and I'm a mother. But I've learned while doing those cases that those things matters, but there are more things that matters. And that is our humanity and human dignity. I've learned in the course of handling the Sharia cases that there is much more to it than what the eye sees. And I'll speak a little bit about how do we understand Sharia. Now, understanding Sharia technically means leaving behind our prejudices and our judgment. But that does not mean leaving behind our human dignity. And with that focus, I go into the courtroom, knowing fully well that the common denominator between the Sharia court and the human rights defender is the belief in the rule of law, the belief in justice, and the belief in fairness. And that's what makes me wake up in the morning and go to this court and argue these cases with all our heart. Now, I wanted to make reference to how we work within the system of Sharia, but before I do that, I wanted to say something with respect to the coloration of Sharia internationally. And to me, having been born and raised a Muslim, I understand that Sharia itself is Islamic law. And Islam itself is salam, is shalom, is peace. That is the basis of Islam. And so Sharia, the law that promotes this peace, is what we practice to a very large extent. There has been misinterpretation or misunderstanding of the Sharia. And at times, it's sort of bungled into culture and tradition. And it's sort of depraved from what the real meaning of Sharia is. But I've also learned that the Quran has taught Muslims that humanity is one family. We are all one family. And according to Quran chapter 49, verses 13, we are all equal before our Creator. He created us equal. And it's on this basis that we go to court to look at each case from the point of view of equality, even though it does not exist in real life. And I can tell you a story how I happened to appear before the first court in the case of my first case in 1999 of Barrier in Zamfara State. It was clear that the judges did not want me to speak. I'm a woman. So when you talk about voicelessness, I was one of them. And actually, that was what united me with my clients. We have 4 different words I wanted to use here that unite us. We are all voiceless. We are all poor. We are powerless, but for illiteracy, that I am, they are illiterate. And that was our uniting factor. And so from 1999, when Shariah was introduced, the criminal aspect of Shariah was introduced in Nigeria, to date, our struggle has always been to create and to bridge this gap between misunderstanding on one hand and understanding what Islam and religion and our cultures are, not to put them together and make a different perception of them. But I wanted to tell you a story of working within the Islamic Sharia. And this story sort of captures 3 issues I want to stress, looking at the theme of this conference: peace and justice. In 2002, when I was doing the case of Amina Lawal, a BBC reporter accosted me and asked me one simple question. And is Sharia in the Quran, is stoning to death in the Quran, he asked. And I looked at him, to the best of my knowledge, there is no stoning in the Quran. And our media is radio, where most of the people in the North listen to, so it was played on the radio. It's not only in the North, it's also in Western region of Africa. And it was played and overplayed. Then I said that stoning to death is not in the Quran. And the mullahs decided to answer me back through the same media. And they said I was anti-Islam and I was anti-Sharia. And one of the 5 offenses that was introduced in 1999 when Sharia was created was apostasy. So it means that I was apostate. And it also means I should be stoned to death. So I called up the reporter and I said to him, can I speak with the mullahs? And he said to me, didn't you hear what they said? You don't want to do that, do you? And I said to him, I please want to meet with them. After I begged him several times, he decided to introduce me and say, I will not be responsible to you. And they were very kind and generous to see me. But they wanted to see me in a mosque, the place of worship. So I entered. I think I am dressed, but I'm actually not properly dressed to enter the mosque. So I was covered from my fingers to my toes. And I went into the mosque. And while entering the mosque, I saw a chair by the side. And at the end of the mosque are 8 mullahs with their big turbans sitting. And I didn't approach the chair. I walked toward the mullahs. And while I was walking toward them, I knelt down and I sat on the floor. And they echoed at the same time, oh, stand up and sit on that chair, they said to me. In my culture, I'm not allowed to look at the men in their faces. So I was looking on the floor. And I said to them, how can I, your daughter, sit on a chair when you, my fathers, are sitting on a chair? They were quiet for some time. And they said to me, are you Hauwa Ibrahim, which is my name? And I said, as you please, I am. Always looking at the floor. Are you the lawyer? I said, as you please, I am. You have not forgotten your religious teaching, they asked me. And I said, You have not forgotten your culture. No. But remember what took me to the mosques was an interview I granted to BBC. I did not speak about the interview. I told the mullahs that I'm a foolish lawyer. I told them that I'm a silly lawyer. I thought I was doing something out there to help the women and the children, but I'm not sure I'm getting it right. And I came to them because I needed their wisdom. I came to them because I needed their knowledge. I want to do something there, but I need them to help me out. That is my dynamic. I don't know what your dynamics are. This is my dynamic. And I choose to walk within. Let me tell you what I got from them. In the meantime, we have tried to see these mullahs for months on end. And what I got from them that day was to get the listening ears. They listened to me. They told me two things before I left the mosque after a very long conversation. We will publicly not support what you're doing, but will also publicly not oppose you. That is powerful for me. It's the most powerful thing they could have given me. That is a security statement, that I can go out there and do the cases. Now, I choose to walk within. We can win the cases in the courtroom, but let me tell you, if we lose the mind and the heart of these people, especially in the villages, we have lost and lost woefully. And three things I wanted to say as my take-home point when I left the mosque, and now subsequently in my practice, is the ability, when we look at the issues of international peace and justice and freedom, that we remember that dialogue does not hurt, that we can engage, that we don't have enemies. People disagree with us, but they're not having enemies at all. And that we can make allies. Some of them are common allies, and some of them are very uncommon allies. We should not deviate from looking at it this way. But I've also learned some few things which will be my closing thoughts. I've learned that there is a powerful force that unites all of us in this room as we look at the future for global peace and justice. And this powerful force is not our color, the color of our skin, no. It's not our creed or our religion, no. It is not our privileges. It is neither our sex or sexual orientation. I have learned in my little practice as a lawyer that the powerful force that unites us is our human dignity, is the worth of our human person. And understanding that will make the world a better place. But let me say these few more words. The good book speaks about how do we ask, and how do we seek, and how do we knock. We are thinking throughout the day about global peace and justice. We can do it from the grassroots top, and we had from top down. But I beg you as we move on today, and I urge you, that we all have potential in us to ask that we don't see the other person as the other, but we are because they are. The concept of the other does not make us understand each other. So let's ask that we see the other person as we. That is one step that each of us can take. That we seek peace. We all have potential in us to seek and to do. Let us seek peace. Let us seek justice. I'm sure a lot of us are doing it in this room, and we can do much more. But above all, as the drums of war is now ringing, let us knock at the door of peace. If you listen to the international news, we need to do that. Knock at the door of peace. It will open unto all of us. And let me finally say that it could just be one person. It could be one issue. It could be one day. It could be one time. But we should never not attempt to take that step in order to be able to achieve a world that our children and generation yet unborn will call their own. And as we move out of this hole, I want you to visualize a banner, and the banner is love. That love is more powerful than hate. That peace is more powerful than war. And that we can do it because it's our world and it's our time. And it starts here and now. Thank you.